Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my new friend, Jay Matta of Spirituality Raw.
There you go.
Live. Okay, so I blew that. I always worry about that when I'm doing these interviews. I worry about wrecking somebody's name or their company.
Well, the beautiful part about it is we'll get to say it 10 different times somewhere.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. You let me off the hook. Well, the reason I am so excited to have Jay here is this is somebody you want to watch because Jay and April have this amazing show called Spiritually Raw .live. And what it does is they are on the cutting edge of creation, of what's really happening, and they tell the truth. And so, Jay, I mean, you came out of business and you really have taken your passion and your energy. You have a lot of energy. You've taken your energy into helping, really being in service for everyone. But somehow you guys always know you're right ahead of the game. How do you do that?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show, and thank you for the opportunity to meet your audience. So much love to you on that. So it's really just committed. It's a committed connection. It's a committed process, Kathy, to stay connected to our source. That's really what it is. It's really, I don't want to minimize the value of that, but that's really what it boils down to be. I mean, you know, we wake up in the morning, we meditate, even if it's for 5 minutes, we work it in somehow just to get some sort of higher divine, inner divine, whatever divine anyone believes in, but some sort of divine inspiration to start the day. I think it's really crucial. And then even at night before we go to bed, it's like we meditate out. So it's like, okay, give us the inspiration that when we wake up in the morning, that what is the day gonna look like for us? What plans do you have for us? And if you have plans for us, can we have the playbook with that, please? Right? And so it's really that. And I really do. That's been a lot of really keeping us on there. And then, Kathy, it's getting to do these kind of conversations is such a privilege because now you're talking through it, and I'm a big believer as you talk through it and you verbalize it, you actually manifest it. You know, so I believe that's what's happening too simultaneously. We're co-creating as we're meant to do.
Right. Well, but the thing is, the reason why I hopefully I was complimenting you is I'm following and you're mentoring me as we go through this new era, because this new era is filled with potholes. It's I mean, I know 4 years ago, I got my Facebook account shut down, and I had thousands. I mean, I had been working for 10 years on it. And what had happened is I was creating code. I know how to create programs. And so I had 3 or 4 codes that all of a sudden I had in the API in Facebook, all of a sudden 2 of them didn't work with the system and they just shut me down. They didn't give me 2 warnings. They didn't put me in jail. I just lost everything. And I was so lucky that some of my assets I had already put in a way that I could get back in. So I could still own them, but own them in a new profile. So the profile I have right now, I restarted 4 years ago. So when I get these memories up that say, "Oh, you have this friendship for 4 years," like, yeah, 40 years or
Exactly. What about that one?
But I learned really quickly what happens when you put too much of your emphasis in somebody else's pond. When you put all of your eggs in one basket and assume that it'll always be there for you. Because I mean, I walked around kind of talking to myself for days afterwards. So it was like, well, what do I do? That's where all my friends were. How am I going to even rebuild this thing? And I can't. Some of this people that I was friends with back then, I can't get into now. And something similar happened to you guys, right?
Yeah, we had, between everything, same kind of thing. We had about 10 years of history of cultivating the groups, the friends, and the right relationships, and just really making sure that the energetic group was there. And then one day we woke up. It's not only the fan pages were gone, the group pages were gone, the personal profiles were gone, and then right after that. So this all happened in 2020. So the back end of 2020 for us. So
wow.
We had a 1, 2, 3, 4 punch kind of thing going on. So we had the Facebook. Probably about a week later was Twitter. Our YouTube page is constantly going down. So there's that initial feeling of like, oh, it's like you said, just walking around like, oh no, what do you do, right? And you cultivate it all the time. But then a couple of things, just bringing it back to reason is that number one, whether we agree with what they're doing or not, meaning the social media companies, they have, in someone's infinite wisdom, been afforded the right to do this. Okay,
right,
so they're doing what they're able to do.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean we have to agree with them, but they're doing what they have the right to do. So there's a level like that. So taking on that philosophy from me, from my perspective, number one, released me from the need of it, if you would, or the anguish of it. Yeah, the victim mode of it, like, oh, you're doing this to me. I was like, whatever, do your thing. And then but it creates opportunities, like through those processes, you're talking, you're meeting through those processes. Then it's like, okay, what are the other things we got to do? I've, as a result of that, had an opportunity to get to meet you. So and now look at what we are cultivating. You know what I mean? Look at the things that are happening. We're manifesting things like that. So when these things are happening at this point in time, we're going to ultimately need to, like you said, we're going to ultimately need to, at some capacity, create our own sandbox of some sort. That's ours. That's, Tommy's, that's Jane's, that's Kathy's, that's Jay's. We're going to have our own sandbox. That's just what it is. So I want to, because you are playing in someone else's land and they have the rights to their land.
Right. Well, I think what's cool about all of this is that there are some people still staying on Facebook, and a lot of the leadership and the genius of the people, they're still just like me. I'm still doing this show on Facebook on several different pages and on my personal profile and on YouTube. But it caused me to spread out. It caused me to look at YouTube, which I've been on for years, but learn how to do a super channel, and I hope you talk about that a little bit here. But it also let me realize that I really have connected with people. I mean, this virtual sandbox that we are creating it's almost like finding soul family. It's very different than what it was. At first, it was fun and games. Oh, the kids are doing WhatsApp, or not WhatsApp. I'm sorry, I can't even remember what started all of it. But in fact, I was with my nephew last night, who's 36, and he was talking about, I didn't even do Snapchat and and TikTok and all this stuff. So I think what's happening is it's creating different kinds of communities. People are finding each other. And then if they take it offline, or if they're doing summits, or if they're doing communities where it's part of a website, where there's big relationship possibilities, you see group, which is what I think is what we need. I think that's the energy.
We are. I couldn't agree with you more. We're absolutely finding our soul clusters of sorts, and we're getting connected, which is really cool, because that's the thing I talk about too. Is like you're having such inner depth, true, honest conversations with people, and it seems so natural. There's not that we dive in, and it's it's very refreshing. It's a lot of fun, and it's really the way life's supposed to be. But so with the essence of social media, again, we've been able to find who we're supposed to vibrate with. This is the time, right? So this is the time, and I think that part of what's gone down is, I don't want to sound naive about this at all, and I don't want anybody to think that, but there is always a blessing in disguise. There really is a blessing in disguise, and I think the fact that these things are happening, they just get you to look at what is the real thing there. Because if we all believe, and there's some sense of a creation that we are co-creators, then we got to realize that this too shall pass.
Right,
And,
right.
and then we're going to be okay once we find our place and we just look out there.
Well, the thing that I guess I'm the only thing that I haven't figured out how to replace is Messenger, where I because my email basket gets really full, and I'm so lazy. I just go to Messenger and find something and type to somebody. But something will evolve with that too.
Right. Well, there's right now we're using for Messenger, which is kind of like Messenger and Twitter kind of married, is Telegram.
So you're using Telegram.
So Telegram, it takes just a minute, like anything new in life, just a minute to get used to it. But when you look, you'll see the trend of it. It's like a Twitter with a Messenger kind of like married, kind of got together there. But that's what that experience is. So
I'm on Telegram, but I haven't really used it. But I think that's that's all that's necessary, is that you really, you don't have to build these huge email lists anymore. If you can figure out a way to have a group mass communication, then all of a sudden, and those reminders, they seem to be short enough and to the point enough that people act on it.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's new enough too. So Telegram's a good opportunity for people if they're in the business world or social media world and if they haven't really embraced it yet. I would recommend you really embrace it, because it's one of the it's not new, but it's newer from people's perception, just because all the other stuff's gone away for a lot of people. It's a good time to really take a look at it, in it that everybody's jumping on that train right now. So you've got a good shot right now. If you're a business person or you're a communicator, you want to get out there, you got a really good shot with Telegram and letting your, growing your base pretty fast. Really do.
Great. That's great. Okay. So you changed out of Facebook. I can't even tag you on these. And was it okay? I mean, did you go through withdrawal? I mean, because I almost did when I got knocked off. It was like, oh my God, I didn't realize I spent so much time trying to find good stuff to share or make good stuff to share that I was kind of lost for a little while.
Interesting enough, when Facebook did the deletion of our accounts, interestingly enough, for whatever reason, and I honestly just can't even tell you why now, Kathy, but I kind of wasn't even there for a while. I stopped using it. So I didn't use it because, I was busy with the shows and we were setting up that. So maybe it was just the fact that I just didn't have enough time and I was just, tired at the end of the day or whatever that may have been. But I didn't use it much. And then one day I kind of woke up. I was like, or someone was emailing me or texting me. They're like, hey, you're not on here and you're not on here. So that's pretty much how I found out. So initially, though, but like you said, look, we're human beings, and you got 10 years into anything, and all of a sudden it's gone. You're just going to be like, oh, wow, that sucks.
What was scary was I was doing it for other people, and I lost a couple of people's pages.
Yeah.
And that flipped me out. So anyway, so I've got it's like when you lose something on your external hard drive, then now I got a backup of a backup of a backup. Yeah. That's what you end up trying to figure out a way to protect whatever the assets are.
There's going to be so many, like with anything like this, I'm meeting people a lot that are doing it right now, but there's just a ton of people that are setting up their social media companies, or, they're looking at this as like, wow, this is an incredible opportunity for me to have a social media. So for those who have the wisdom and the resources and the knowledge to do it, they're going pretty good with it, and they're starting to build up their thing. So again, with anything there's opportunity. So you just got to look for them.
So when you go through and you pick who's going to be on your show, so there may be people that are watching this right now or watching the replay that might be interested in being on your show. What do you look for? What kind of conversations are you looking for your audience?
So our tagline, which we changed because we needed to for media purposes, is called Spiritually Raw, no topic is taboo. What we're looking what we're looking for is someone that is actually having a very real life spiritual experience that they can share, because we need to understand, all of us, not just April and myself. We need to understand, all of us, well, what is your experience as a spirit having this human experience? Because we need to know so we can maybe try to adapt from it. So when someone can bring that kind of value to the table, we definitely want to talk to them. So we've interviewed over 1,500 people in a very short period of time. We get out there, but we're pretty open. So if someone's got a real thing and we think like, hey, they've got something that they know that they can add value to someone else's existence, we want to know. Seriously, that's what we're out here. No topic's really taboo with us. The only thing we don't bring on our show is anything that preaches hatred or hurts the innocent, anything like that. We really don't.
Well, we don't need more fear.
But anything that's like soul nurturing and, hey, I've got a solution. This works for me. I'd like to hear it,
That's really cool. So, but when did you start this curiosity? I mean, it sounds like you do a daily meditation, you and your wife, and was this just this hunger to know and wanted to find the truth? Is that what?
Yeah. So we actually, just a super quick story on this. Our background is in financial services. So we owned an insurance agency and a mortgage brokerage company kind of thing. So we were doing really well financially, and that was really good. But we realized that, it was just, you're making money, you're making great money, but there's just no fulfillment. There really wasn't. And we always had a super calling to the spiritual, to the unknown, to what's out there. When you walked into our insurance office, it looked more like an ashram than it did an office. It really did. With Kuan Yin, Jesus, Buddha, Mother Mary, where everybody everywhere, and we're like, one of these should help out, right? So we ended up selling that and decided, hey, we wanted to really get on the, learn more about what's out there, because I tell you one thing we have really been able to connect with is that there is just some beauty, there's some beautiful, magical stuff out there, and we can find it. It's really so we went on a search for that. And so what happened is we realized that the best way for us to do that was to interview people that are going through journeys so we could learn that way. Someone said, okay, why don't you put a camera on here? So that camera now turned into a show called Spiritually Raw, and that was 10 years ago. So that's how that happened.
Wow. Well, I know how much work this is because I've been doing this for little more than 2.5 years. And I know that with both of you and April, I mean, it's just me, but having both your calendars and then the other person, how far in advance do you book people? Are you pretty scheduled out, or how does that work?
Pretty much, I don't really get involved in the booking side of things. So the way we have our show structured is we actually have 4 people that work, kind of behind the scenes to make sure everything is there. It keeps you sane. It really does, because it's like So what that allows us to do allows us pretty much to show up and do our job. Which is really just entertain, inspire, and bring out the best of the greatest messengers out there. As far as bookings go, I believe we are generally about 1.5 to 2 months out. As far as bookings, we'll work it out. I'm not on that part. I generally show up and here's who's on today, and here's my notes.
I got to be interviewed yesterday by somebody in England, and she was saying that she only does it like a week ahead. Mm-hmm. And I'm all the way booked. I'm going into July, August now.
Yeah, so, I know.
But it kind of comes in spurts for me, and I'm totally directed to if they aren't people that I work with that I'm hoping to showcase, then it's people that somehow they come on the radar, and that's the fun part. It's almost like being a private eye. Sherlock Holmes, where you find these people or they find you, and then there's like, oh, far out. This is like a win-win-win-win-win. So, and that's what we're trying to create.
That's what we're trying. We tape twice a week, Kathy, and so we pre-record our shows. So it's 3 shows on a Tuesday and then 3 shows on a Thursday. So that gives 6 shows for the week, and in there somewhere we throw in a live. Just to stay connected with the group. So that's our schedule as far as taping.
Wow, you're doing it full time. So Oh, wow. Well, no, I mean, I'm doing it twice a week. I'm not doing it 6 days. Wow.
Yeah. So, well, we will record, but yeah, we have 6 days worth of content to be able to provide for, people.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
a lot of stuff to learn. A lot
So
of stuff you want to know.
what's your favorite stuff right now for this audience? This is, a lot of our audience are small conscious businesses, and they don't have the time really to do the research that you and I do, or have the network to find new cool stuff. So what's your favorite stuff right now?
So my favorite stuff is really working on manifestation, creating the soul communities, working with your soul cluster. Again, it's one of those things. I believe we're in a very unique time in it, that for us to think that, oh, I can do this myself. No, you can't. It's not going to be as fun, trust me. And you're not going to get to where you want to get with your vibe. So the fun thing for me, like I said, is meeting the spiritual family.
Yeah.
Really spiritual family and having great conversations, whether it be here, whether it be offline, and just like, okay, well, how do we do this now? How do we structure this? What's the best way for us to get our messages out? I know you do a lot with creating events for people. I mean, that's just so incredible, soul nurturing. I can't even put a therapeutic price on that, Kathy. What it does for your soul, mind, body, spirit. I mean, it's just amazing.
Well, but you have a choice of feeding yourself good food, good ingredients, good plant work, because we may get to talk about the hemp works work, but you get a chance to choose what you ingest, and this content is ingesting things as well, right? And
100%.
and so that's what I feel really strong, that especially there's been a fear machine going. So why not? And even if people watch TV and they watch the series, I mean, it's just one fear and high adrenaline thing right after the other. That isn't what we're really here for. We're here to evolve to a new space of loving ourselves and loving this experience. So we free up the energy that's in the fear to co-create cool stuff. And that's why I love doing those summits and creating events, because it's almost like you need to see a few people until you find your teacher, or your guide. I don't even know. Teachers kind of puts them up on a pedestal. Most of these people aren't. They are experiencing and growing right along with you. They are not ahead of you.
Yeah, there's been a whole wave of and I've noticed this by talking to people, which is a really beautiful thing to see, is there's a lot more embracing of this. Ego seem to have left the building for a lot of people.
Good.
Maybe it be that, listen, it's life. We all get humbled. So whatever that reason is, the new phase of us we're meeting are a lot of ego-free people. And that's kind of cool. So it's just, you get to dive in and, you literally get calls, and people call us and they're like, hey, can you help out with this? We'll reach out to them. Hey, can you help out? And it's just there's nothing other than let's keep our flow going. It's good business, good karma, good soul nurturing stuff,
Yeah, but there is one question that Shaz asked, so I'll do that. But I want to say that the game has changed. It's not tit for tat anymore. It's not I do this and you do that. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. And that's the good old boys game. That I think it's more about, how does this uplift, and how can it's like a recipe. And there's a little bit of this person, a little bit of that person, and the whole recipe creates this beautiful end result. And that's where the egos stop. Although I have to say, somehow as a marketer, as a promoter, I want someone to have charismatic ego.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to have enough love for themselves that they are not too afraid to be seen. There is something of that, but the ego of my perspective is right, and if you can't fall into my perspective, you're out of the ball game. That's not
That's not, no. And, you know, there's a lot of that, you know, where it's good to have, you know, you don't want to confuse ego with being proud or confident in what you do. That's a different thing. You know, being proud and confident in what you do is a very different thing than saying, okay, like you said, hey, it's my way or whatever.
The highway.
I'm already up there, you know, whatever. You know, believe me, I've seen them come and go all the time over the years, you know, and so it is what it is. But it's a great time to get there. But getting back to what you said about the Good Old Boys Network, you're right about that. And this is what I truly believe. Me myself, it's a nice thing to witness getting connected to the feminine energy that's coming out, because I think that's what we've lost all these years. I really do. Watching the show, interviewing a lot of people, learning from them, is that we've lost a lot of the feminine energy, which has always been, in my opinion, really the most important. It's a balance, yeah, but it's really been the most important part of it, because it's the nurturer, it's the one that really is a creator, if you would. And so it'll help you more. So when you lose sight of that, then you really lose sight of you know what your real purpose is for, and you just go in one direction with no fulfillment.
Well, what happens, I think, with the divine feminine, we don't want to go, the teeter-totter has been masculine. We don't want to do that. We want to come somewhere in the middle, and we're all out of balance. I mean, I ran a division of Arthur Anderson. You don't think I was using all of my divine feminine. I had to use all of my masculine aspects in business. And but the thing is that the communication and the opportunity to see what each person's best divine gift is, and then help them express it, that's when you can't stop the team.
You cannot stop,
you know. So she has asked, maybe we should discuss what taboo is.
Well, taboo is obviously, thank you, Chaz. Taboo is going to mean different things to different people, right? So, but what we really want to just express on that is like how, you know, the people that push their boundaries. I mean, we have people that come on and they have, you know, like anything you see, you know, they have multiple relationships. We have aliens that are people who incarnate as aliens that come on the show that are having galactic affairs with other people. I mean, it's you know, they go and they live with the elves, the fairies, you know, you know, there's just I think I pretty much feel like I've heard and seen it all. I consider that. I mean, and you know, I mean, literally to the fact of, you know, people, you know, living and mating with animals of sorts, you know, because it's part of their spiritual experience. I mean, that's the, you know, we agreed when we started the show, we're going to take a very neutral ground on it. You know, we're not going to, regardless of our own beliefs, it even says on the show that the guest does not necessarily reflect our opinions. But it is, you know, we're doing a show not for us. We're doing a show for, you know, the audience that, you know, we're blessed to get to watch us, and hopefully they can take what they want out of that, make value out of it, and throw the rest away.
Well, yeah, well, you have so much content that they do get a chance to pick and choose, rather than some shows where it's once a week, or regular TV, even if it's once a week. So I hope, Chaz, that answered your question. If you got another one, please throw it over the fence here. But how do you see this new conversations with more people showing up? Because just like I started this 2.5 years ago, and you started yours, there's lots of us that are starting. And how do you see that all coming together? Because it's first of all giving people choices, so they don't have to just watch TV, or they don't have to get the programming that's embedded. This is raw. This is not, there's no programming here. How do you see the future, like 5 years? Because you guys know, you seem to have the pulse on the future side of this.
We're the new news. We're the new communication. I mean, we all of us, and we need to think like that. And even if you are, it is really important that if someone is thinking they got a voice, don't worry about anything about all this technical stuff and where to and all that, but get on the voice and start broadcasting, pull together your group of people, start talking, start to manifest. We need each other right now. One thing we do need is, we're going to continually need this. So I will say to you, looking out from my vibe on this, out there, is in the next few years, we are going to need each other more than ever, but I don't mean that in a fearful way at all, meaning that that's going to be how we operate. That's just, we're going to learn to operate. But what, with that being said, when we do learn to live in that way, we are all going to prosper in more than our wildest dreams could have ever imagined.
Right, right.
Because we're going to look at it very differently, because we let go of all the stuff that stopped us and made it all about me. So we're not going to do that anymore. But it does take people stepping out, getting out of their thing. So, I would say to people, we do the super channels, Kathy, and we're we're always about, let's get people to unleash their voice. Let's start getting them talking, because that's energy, that's vibration. I mean, imagine if you had one person that had just 2 or 3 friends, and their just routine was once a week that they got together, kind of like how we started, which was, let's just kind of learn about things and see where it goes. That energy, and that happening again and again worldwide like that, we're not going to see this stuff. The light, if you would, the proverbial light, the proverbial good, it's just going to blast through any possible thing that can even come our way. So I see that times, personally, I know there's a lot of people think, oh, we got to go to the worst before things get better. I personally just don't believe that. I believe me, I talk to people all day long for a living, is what I do. And I just don't think we have to get to the worst yet. I think we are in the best of times. And I think we are given signs for us to be able to apply this to us. Get together with groups, start talking about your voice, really think about your soul family out there. There is a family waiting to meet you. Isn't that cool? If you think about it, there's a family waiting to meet you right now. They need you.
Yes. And I do think that when you talked about ET, I do think that there's a lot of people here that embodied as hybrids. And that's why when I said I like launching with summits, that people are going to recognize their clan. Because each frequency from each person's heart is so different. It's like a note in a song. And so there'll be a recognition that, oh, this one's for me. I think that's why even when Sounds True started, and some of the Nightingale Conant, I don't know if you remember those guys, that I would have to listen to a few things of the instructor before I could see if I could learn from them. And that's the same thing you're finding with the frequency of this video platforms, is that either you're like, oh, they just make me feel terrible, or it's like, or I don't believe them, basically, because they're not on the same frequency. I think this raises everybody. I also think that what happens is, I'm still learning from every single client I have and every single interview I do. So what happens is, this opportunity, if people are courageous enough to do it and not worry about your hair, not worry about your outfit, not worry about that you have the perfect background, all of that stuff. If you'll just do it, you start to refine your gift. And you start to push through the fear that you have of being seen or getting it perfect.
Yeah, you do. It's you talk through it. And you know what's good about it is, and I still do this today because it's a great learning experience for me. So for example, when I have a show and I interview somebody, or vice versa, I always watch that show right away afterwards, so I can see what the next show, because it doesn't even take you a little bit better. It makes it like 1,000 times better. You learn things about yourself. Like I remember when I first started the show, I used to do a lot of this and fidgety and with the pen and all that. I'm like, oh, I can't do that again. And so you learn, but you don't know about that, and you don't know that until you watch yourself back. So I would really encourage people, if they're going to do this, is to make sure that you watch every single show, because you will exponentially, you won't even grow a little bit. You'll grow at such Mach speed, and you'll feel like in 30 days, you wouldn't even recognize who that person was anymore.
Wow, that's such a great advice. Well, the way I got started is I love Regina Meredith, and there's some people like that are on Gaia TV that I have watched. And somehow I got the 20-year anniversary DVD set of Oprah. And I watched her 20 years where she was talking about racial injustice at the very start of her shows. And she's the only Black person there with a whole white audience talking about it. And it was like, wow, this woman has guts. But I watched her and I watched how beautifully she could bring people out, and there wasn't conflict. It wasn't like Barbara Walters or some of these other people that are, when was the last time you hit your kid? You know, I mean, they're trying to make you be on the spot. This was like, how do I love you more? And so that influenced me. I have not gone back and watched all mine. I'm kind of scared too.
You know, there was one like that, but that's kind of cool. You get to, hey, look, you know, that's great though. You get the opportunity to learn from presumably one of the best out there, right? And so at least you learn the art of it, the mannerisms. Yeah. You know, look, it's like in life, business life, you're either climbing or you're falling. You have to commit to just furthering yourself every day. Right. Every day, just like, you know, what's that miracle look like for us today? Yeah.
I think the other part of this that I would want to let small business owners know about is that it is a digital platform, so that if you really goof, or someone doesn't show up, which sometimes happens, you can always erase it. And that you can delete. So that's the other, you know, the fail safe on the other side, that if, I just really messed it up. So
you know, we're actually doing a class on teaching people on. We're actually doing it. We're actually doing a program that we're developing a course, because a lot of people have been asking about it for years, and it's taken us about 2 or 3 years to get to this point of doing it. But we're like, finally, we just need to do it because there's a lot that's needed there. But one of the biggest things we share with people when they're starting their broadcasting journey or their voice is, if you're not talking, like, for example, like if you're not talking how you and I are talking, which is very organically natural, then stop and start over. You're trying too hard and you're trying to push it. And that doesn't come across the airwaves, because that's not you. That's not you. People are not looking for a persona. Maybe they are in some things, but in this particular case, they're looking for your authentic self. So really, you know, the biggest thing we see a lot of people is really getting them in touch with themselves and be comfortable with just like, this is how I'm talking to you is how I talk, just in general. Yeah. And, you know, you and I have talked on the phone enough, you know that. And then this is how we talk. So we really, that's the big thing. People won't always remember the words as much, Kathy. It's just the way you made them feel.
Exactly. Yes. And I think that the benefit of this medium is that it's like, I drink tea sometimes. You see me while we're talking right now, it's like I'm having a conversation with you at the tea house, you know, or at the coffee shop. And this is, hey, what's going on? How you doing? How's it going? But it gives people insights into what's coming and your genius. Because honestly, you guys, these guys have their pulse. They have their fingers on the pulse of what's happening next. You want to make sure that you follow Jay and April, because we're in this huge change of modalities, of concept of how to live, on opportunities to choose at a conscious level what feels best for you. And these guys are watching it like a hawk, or they have some special connection to see the future, and they know how to help you. Because this era that we're in, it is like the Renaissance. We've been in the Dark Ages. We're going to this new era where you get to be consciously aware and choose.
Yeah. So I would say to you, and thank you, that was just really kind of what you said there, is that what I would say to you, it's really embodied within each of us. So I'm just going to give, if you don't mind, I'm just going to give everybody just a quick super routine of what I do, what we both do. But so if someone's really that committed to, like, I need that breakthrough, I'm like really such a desire to connect with your source, is just start the morning with meditation. This is what I do. I start the morning with meditation. I've really learned to do this too. I believe me, this is one of those things, but I've learned to just shift my diet, you know what I mean? And think, what I watch, what I eat. I think about the things that are not making me feel good. What's going to create for me an open channel? What's important for me in this stage of my life? Not so much what I'm eating or drinking as much as the fact is my connection to myself. That's very, very important to me. Right. So whatever I got to do to get there. So that's that. At night before I go to bed, I meditate. But I don't meditate like I'm sitting in a lotus position or doing this with one nostril or that with one nostril. I just lay in bed, and as comfortable as I can be is what matters. All I'm doing is I'm getting myself to clear my mind, right? And to slow it down so I can receive any type of information there. If I wake up like a lot of people do, 3, 4 in the morning, which I do, I meditate myself back to sleep instead of turning on the TV. Right. So just use those kind of things, and I'll share with you again. People will start getting those types of inspirations. You'll start to trust your gut. You'll know. You'll just get a knowing. I don't know, and I can't explain it, Kathy, but it's a knowing that you know that you know, but you know that you know that you know. And I don't know, but you just get that. I would really encourage people to do that. Really, it's just to really get connected with themselves. They'll start to get creations and talk doing like what we're doing on a regular basis. That in itself is just like you literally watch. I truly believe the future is only an extension of our present. We get to write it. It's not mandated for us. I don't think we're destined to fall in a pothole. You don't have to.
Right. Well, I think that you did come before you came into physical. You did pick a mission that you wanted to complete this time, and so that I work with that a lot. What I wanted to go back to is the idea that that simple practices can help us align and let us autocorrect. Because I think that's what the small business owner is in chaos. There's a lot of chaos. You could have chaos from your employees or from your customers, and then you're also in a position to need to keep the ship going. Yeah. And so the other thing that I wanted people to know is that that's part of what you're offering. What we're offering here is different ways to look at it so you can stay at the top of your game. Top of your game is being in high energy enough so that when you get that intuition, when you're eating well and you're taking, if you do cannabis or hemp products, which I'd love for you to talk about, all of those things that help you have a vital essence that gives you the way to act on what your intuition, because we all are getting downloads all the time, and not everybody's acting on them.
That's true. So the one thing you want to do is you want to take a look at, for example, like when you mentioned earlier, like, how me and April work, and I mentioned here we have 4 people. The other thing we committed to do, whether we decide we know it or not, is this: because if we feel like we have been gifted with the ability to communicate and share what we're doing, then that really should be our job. So for example, web designing is not my job. I may know how to do it, but it's not my job. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have someone else do it. The things that are not your job, we try to really encourage people. If you're a business person and you feel like I can't get off that rail, I can't get off that the proverbial rat thing, wheel, whatever. Outsource your stuff. Start being confident enough to outsource the littlest things. Someone that'll book your appointments for you. Someone that'll set your appointments for you. Someone that'll just be the one that follows up with your clients and emails. Is everything okay? So someone that does all that stuff for you, allowing you to stay in the place you're at. Because if you're destined and you're the communicator, then you want to be in the communicator. That's what you work to master that skill, which is staying connected. It stands to reason. It's very difficult to stay connected when you're connecting. Oh, I forgot that email. You know what I mean? I forgot that email. You know what I mean? You're gonna throw your game off. So be open is what we really share with people, to outsourcing the stuff that you know that someone else can do better than you, allowing you to do your job. When you think about, well, I don't have the money for it, or how much is this going to cost? If you think in this rationality, your money will, again, not sound naive, your money will show up for you quicker than you possibly can think, because you now have a very clear head. And so the ideas of how to manifest this money become very quick and apparent to you. But be open to freeing yourself from the stuff that you don't do, that you don't excel from. Let someone else do it. So I hope that helped there. But what I also, you mentioned hemp, is, so we're a big proponent of the hemp and CBD, because that seems to be something that's been given by, divine aliens, God, goddess, whatever you believe in, it's here. And so that does help balance out. That does help connect the dots. How I understand it, Kathy, is that when you take the CBD, is we have these receptors, and then these receptors lay dormant in our body forever. And then what it does is it literally lights you up again. So it allows your spirit and your body, your machine, if you would, to function the way that it's supposed to do. So that's the experience I get with that. I really love it. For me, when I'm using I know you got the HempWorks too that you use. I really love it a lot, because it does. I mean, I don't have the thoughts that go through my head. I don't have I'm physically active. I don't feel the tensions and the aches and all that stuff that goes along with that anymore. Nothing. It's a very balanced, stuff happens. My reaction to it's very different also. So it helps you get it. So, there's what I'm getting at. There's tools out there for you. Whatever your thing is, use it. You know what I mean? But just self-balance and connect, and don't react too much to all the stuff, because that's all it really is. It's just stuff.
Well, what you mentioned just then was really pertinent to everyone, because focus is really the key. And it's almost like you see that this is a test, this new reality that is ADD it's set up to squirrel.
Right.
And it really is, it's set up that way. But there's an opportunity to, once you release the fear, I think the fear is what causes the squirrel.
Yeah.
Once you get grounded in who you are, and you realize that you're an extension of Source, embodied, you're a spiritual, your soul having a human experience, and you want more of your soul to embody this physical meat suit. You want the physical meat suit to vibe at as high a vibe as possible. And then you want to be able to reduce distractions. So, nope, I'm going to co-create with the universe today. And so all of what you're talking about, the meditation, using CBD products, all of those things allow people to go to extreme levels of focus on what truly makes their heart sing. And joy is the way to abundance. All of this isn't set up. We weren't supposed to be victims and miserable here. That wasn't the game. We kind of got off our game here.
Yeah. So we are getting awoke. So people talk, there's terms around going the Great Awakening, this and great. And so, we're just getting awoken to what are things out there. Look, I stopped watching the news in January. I have not turned on my TV since January. Yeah. We actually had someone texting us the other day, because we live in Florida, and said, "Hey, are you prepared for the hurricane?" I'm like, "Well, what hurricane?" And that's how much I don't know, because I'm not going to live in that world. I figure if something's going to really, really be ultra, ultra important in my life, someone will get a hold of me.
Exactly.
Get a hold of me, but other than that, I don't even turn it on. I'm not going to do it. There's no sense of giving that energy anymore. I want to find out what's new and beautiful, and that takes disconnecting from that.
That's perfect. And the frequency of harmony and beauty is the renaissance that I'm talking about. And I see what you're doing being a way of a path to that for all different people, because you're really covering so many different subjects, and covering so many different ways. So it really is body, mind, and spirit. Someone put on here, some say that there is some form of cannabis on every planet, a gift, some say.
Let's hope they got it. I hope
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I've been hoping that the disclosure of the UFO phenomenon, which I've been working with them since I was a little girl, I was hoping that that would change the oil and gas, the dependency on petroleum products, and that we would be in a new era as soon as that disclosure happened. Well, the disclosure was at the end of the month, and oh well. Not much. I mean, the disclosure is good cop, bad cop, good alien, bad alien. What do you think about that? I've been hoping to find the tipping point. What's the tipping point for all of this?
We're not going to get it out of any type of, like, a source, if you would, that's going to say this is the tipping point and the disclosure and wait for it on August 30th or July. That people, we all have. I do. Everybody does. Everybody is. I don't want to call it guilty, but everybody has done the whole. That date's coming up, so everything's going to be okay then, and that's going to happen. Everything's going to go down then. It's not going to happen like that. What I'm saying is, you can find out your own answers, but you're going to have to. You don't want to give any power to anybody else, because why the key is here is the real trick here is really clearly understanding that we are divine, and I don't mean this from a worshiping standpoint at all. Right. We are the gods and goddesses. We are divine gods and goddesses. The key is that we wake up to that fact.
Right.
And none of those will know instinctively if we wake up to that fact what that UFO disclosure means, because we're getting it from a real true source, right? Not someone that's 6 o'clock or whatever things, or just because they think. But that's how you're going to have to find out. But it's going to start with really realizing that. That does not mean you diminish what your religious beliefs are or anything of that nature. Yeah. But even in I've never really read a Bible, but I think even there is that, you have that power too. There's reference to it in a lot of biblical texts. So we have that power, and we as a society tend to say, well, that's great, but I'm waiting for that date and that person to show up. Yeah. As soon as that date and that person shows up, it doesn't matter. My life will be good. So I can deal with this for another 30 days. I can deal with this for another 60 days. 30, 60 years later, then it becomes and that's what happens.
The thing is there is no time in the higher realms anyway. So, I mean, even if they gave you a time and a date, it would be off. Although I have had, because I do kind of soul life readings for businesses, for soul purposes. And sometimes they're kind of right. Sometimes they're kind of right, but that I don't usually try to find out a date. It's not like a fortune telling thing. It's more about, if you so choose, you can manifest, you can resonate and manifest to this. And that's what you're talking about too, is by giving people all this information on spirituality raw. God, why do I keep doing that?
We got 6 more times still to do it. We're good. We're good. All right, remember we said
Anyway, yeah. Okay, well,
I want to really quickly tag on what you saw. I can't underestimate the importance, if you're a small business, to have an advisor, a spiritual advisor of some sort. Like, I have one. People come to me for advice. I go to others for advice. I mean, it goes like that. The president of the United States has a cabinet. I cannot underestimate the person. If someone's a small business and they don't have a spiritual advisor that can say, how do I approach this? Does this look right to you? Is this soundboard? You're taking a very hard road. If you haven't already and you feel like you got a block, whoever it is in your life, hire somebody, get connected with it. Find out, maybe it's an exchange for you. I don't know, whatever you work out with that person, but get someone that can see what you're doing differently than you can, because you're in it, and sometimes you can't see it when you're in it. That's just how it is.
Right. Right.
But I definitely think that people should look at that openly.
Well, I think that's the only way. It's almost like you're clearing and cleaning, because that's the road to remembering who you really are. And once you reconnect with who you are, staying there is the next part. And that's why the meditation or the practice is, because you may have had a peak moment or several peak moments, but staying there means this vessel has to be vibrating at a really high level. And that's body, mind, and spirit. That's why I wanted to bring up the hemp products and meditation. Everything you're talking about, Jay, is that the paradigm, the programs that are running in this global consciousness, a lot of people like you and I have been working for years to do what we can to be lighthouses, to clear as much as we can so we can hold more of our soul, hold more of our light, and help as many people as possible, because we're like tuning forks. You walk in a room and everyone starts resonating to it. But we have to do, all of us have to keep working on that, because there's still more and more and more to clear. And then you go to the other side. And then who knows what that is.
Who knows exactly who knows like that. But getting really quickly, we're showing people right now what to do, because it is whether you're a law of attraction fan or a manifestation fan or praying fan or whatever that is for you, at the end of the day, I think we can all agree it's about high vibes. We got to maintain that high vibes, however you slice and dice or coin it. So this is what keeps high vibes going, in my opinion. We do this. Not only are we doing a show, we get interviewed because it keeps my vibrations high all the time. I'm constantly at that thing. So when you're at that place all the time, not only you're enjoying it and meeting great friends, but you're just manifesting cool things. Right. It's imperative. We're showing you a formula, everybody. Anybody watching that's like ever thought about it, how do I manifest? How do I get out on these broadcasts like what we're doing right now?
Yes.
And start talking about it, because your vibrations will automatically elevate.
And when you create from that level, nothing can stop it. It will land at such a high level. That's the part that's so cool about it. When you open up and you really see the frequencies, and you can embed that frequencies in everything you do, which you guys do. That's why I so appreciate you. I just see that integrity level. Well, see, the thing is some people don't walk their talk, and you are consciously, you and April are walking your talk. I wanted to say one more thing, is that the generosity that you have. I met you through Victoria Reynolds, who I love.
Yeah,
and, Victoria, I met, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, maybe longer, in LA at a class. And then 3 years ago, we went to Vid Summit together, and which was amazing. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It was in LA. And it's where they started it with 80 people, 80 of the top YouTubers got together, and they all were sharing stuff. And then by the time I came, there were 1,500 people there.
Wow.
And they were still all sharing their stuff. The guy that runs Patreon, the guy TubeBuddy. They were all on stage. They get off stage after doing their presentation, and then they sit down to take notes on the next person speaking. And you could actually sit in a little cozy area in the hotel lobby and pick somebody's brain that had millions of subscribers on YouTube. And that's what I see you're doing. I think, it starts with 80 people, and then you'll see it's like catching on as a mime or a wave. I don't want to call it the B word, as a wave of where we all find each other and we see how we can play together.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun like this, because if we look at it from the perspective of, we have a responsibility to help our fellow soul sister and brother. We have to look at it that way. And if we look at it from that perspective and we're sharing that knowledge, because what will happen is when you help your sister and brother at that level, you're only elevating yourself. That's not a cliche. This is real stuff. You are only elevating yourself, because if there's any sense of you that believes that we're all spiritually connected, then you have a responsibility, because you want to lift up the whole thing, or else one's going to bring the other one down, right? So it's like anything. So you want to do that. So it's good. And you know what? it's a for nothing other than the fact it's a much better way to live.
That's
you
right.
live in truth. You live in there. You don't have to feel like you're looking over your shoulder. You don't have to feel like covering up. Maybe what did I say? Do I say this to this person or that? You just say your thing, and that's it. You know, people will. You know, the right people in your life will be the right people in your life when you need them.
Well, I think we are finding. I mean, it's so frequency is palpable if people have done their work, their inner work, and then you kind of go, oh, I see. So when I met Victoria, I knew she was an angel. I knew it. She didn't even hardly know it when I met her. So it's when you're at this frequency, you're going, how do I best serve? How do I best serve? And that's what I love about what you're doing at Spiritually Raw.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. That's all good. I mean, even I'll talk to Victoria sometimes. I'll be like, you know, she'll ask me questions, but similarly, me too. I'll call her. I'll be like, hey, Victoria, what do you think about this? Does this make sense to you? And she'll do what Victoria does, which will, you know, take that pause and really connect and you know, then bring it out. And you know, so again, you know, we need each other. Everybody is what I'm saying here. We do. You know, we need you to do your part. You know what I mean? We need you to step up because we're all waiting for you, so we can do some great things together.
That's right. And this is the time that we stood in line to get these bodies, to be here right now, to be through the biggest change probably in the galaxy. I mean, all the ships are hanging around eating popcorn, watching Earth, watching the show on Earth. And
they are.
Let it pass you by. Go be part of it.
Yeah, go be part of it. It's a good ride for all of us.
Yes. Okay. So, Jay, do you want to? I've got your URL running on the bottom. And are there other ways that people should reach out to be with you, or maybe someone put in the message that they want to be on your show? So.
Oh, yeah. So first of all, again, thank you very much. This is just awesome. I mean, just so fueling, nurturing. Much love to you on that. So SpirituallyRAW.live, they can check out all of our stuff, and it's where we are able to put everything completely uncensored, right? So we're not censored by all the social media out there. So we give everybody 3 days for free to check it out, so they can run through it as much as they want, and hopefully they see it as the Akashic records that our Earth has to offer. So as far as if people want to be a guest on the show, or they want to find out how to have their own show, or just need a little bunch of how to, like, where do I even start? Ask SpirituallyRAW@gmail.com. Ask SpirituallyRAW@gmail.com. They can email us directly. It comes right to me. I'll check it. You know, and Telegram. We're on Telegram, Spiritually Raw. So check us out there, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Great. And part of what I'm benefiting from, Jay, is I'm learning how to make YouTube work. So he's also an expert on building these super channels. And so that's another opportunity if you're interested to have your own show on one of his super channels. So there's lots of opportunity, you guys, to get your soul mission message out right now. And there's an audience that really would benefit from it. So really don't, pull the trigger, go ahead. You can see perfection isn't important. It's more about your heart and your inspiration that you want to share. Yeah.
You don't have to be great to start. You just have to start to be great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Well, I wish you thank you so much for everything you do. I really appreciate it.
Likewise. Yeah. See you next time. Thanks a lot for everything.
Okay. Bye-bye.